and welcome to the Jekyllhydeclub. I am Gomez, here to talk to you about the Alchemy of England Tarot. It's another Gothic-like deck, and I already have several, and if you're wondering how this one is different from some others, I'm going to make a brief comparison between this variation of Gothic and the one I reviewed before, the Joseph Vargo Gothic Tarot deck. I will provide the link for this tarot that shows each card and also discusses in great detail what is the visual representation meaning of each symbol. So here is how the Vargo Gothic one looks, and here is the Alchemy of England. You can tell, looking at them side by side, that the Alchemy of England has a smaller deck overall, and some of its information is conspicuously missing, like instead of, like, the normal thing is to say even who it is illustrated by and what year, and this information is missing as a point of interest on the deck. And it is common in every deck to say who is the illustrator or the year and some other things. They do provide in their booklet, though, very nice details about what each card means. No pictures, just a few words here and there, and they talk about this tarot deck in several languages. So my thoughts about this deck and its differences to the Gothic Vargo tarot is mainly that here in Alchemy of England deck we have a certain singularity, and by that, or rather duality. The Gothic deck by Joseph Vargo here, it is the one that has the singularity of the Gothic theme, where it makes the Gothic images come to life, it makes it seem dynamic, it makes it seem realistic. It's something like we could be imagining doing ourselves, walking at a graveyard or seeing all kinds of creatures. It makes it very realistic to my mind. And there is no division between Gothic and mundane, there is only the Gothic, and in that I consider its singularity. But the Alchemy of England tarot deck, it shows a certain duality. It shows both the Gothic, for example, represented by the mage figure over here that seems sort of archetypal, and then it shows other things like that, but they seem more static when by themselves. The only time they come to life in my mind is in a card like that, where there's a duality, where you can see that there is the Gothic element, say in the Empress or the Queen of Cups. So there is this duality where you can see part of her face is skeletal and part is human and realistic. So to my mind that represents that duality that goes throughout all the cards, where there's the Gothic and the mundane together, how to reconcile them. It reminds me of this idea how some people in the Wiccan circles, they take themselves a craft name and then they also have a regular name, and how they're trying to combine their magic with their real life. Or the same with other people who work by day and are goths by night and that kind of a thing. So every time I see certain Gothic elements in there, they're pretty and they're artistically made, but they are not as alive as when there is also that energizing agency for them when somebody wants to incorporate the Goth into real life and make it real in a sense. Another thing about this deck, the cards are, of course, like I said, very elegant, and in a sense they are suitable for the overall style of Gothic alchemy, or Alchemy of England, as they're both known by those names. So it seems to fit their style, their manner. They're very elegant, very well detailed, and they represent that elegance and minimalism of different even jewelry sets that they make and other things. So it seems artistic. And they also have some real elements. There was to mention one of the cards of Malus Maleficorum, and there is Tonight We Dine in Valhalla, so all kinds of cute touches from real life esoteric things. Another interesting distinction between them and the Vargo Gothic tarot is that here their elements are just represented statically, the number of the cups itself, and there are no other accompanying images. And here, by contrast, in the Joseph Vargo tarot, we also have the element of cups, but here we see real-life gargoyles next to the cups themselves. So, and the Alchemy Gothic version is not unique. There are many decks that actually do that kind of a thing where each element is just an element and nothing else, and there are no vivid images otherwise. So it is not bad and it is not unusual, but that's just something to be aware of. And like I said, there's that duality, and I could go into great detail about what each image means, but if there's interest I might do that. But for now, here are how all the cards look. And if you always watch it from the point of duality, you might get better insights, I think, into the meanings behind the cards. Another thing that I like about this deck is that it has something from every goth spectrum. It has sort of Day of the Dead style, it has steampunk, it has different Victorian brands, or Victorian looking rather. It also has fantasy in terms of dragons and fairies, so even the Celtic lore can be sort of incorporated here. It also has some demonic looking figures and skulls and bones, so demon lore even, and for those of you who know the Key of Solomon. So it has a great variety for every goth flavor. The only thing that is necessary to make the goth flavor come to life is somebody who is willing to actively incorporate it consistently. So in that there is again that duality. Each card is well made, and in some of them are very realistic looking, in some fantastical. So whatever you prefer, you probably will find it in this deck. Here's some Egyptian flair as well. And this is another thing where, to me, the human figure covered in blood looks more realistic in a sense than the demonic figure attached to it. Not because it's a demon, so obviously it's more fiction and imaginary, but some demons, even the ones here, are shown to be more realistic and vivid and less static. Here, for example, this dragon, because of its ending, some of its features look to me superficial, where the girl looks more realistic, and so on and so forth with many other cards. But here, when it's pure fantastical figure, to a degree it looks more realistic to me in its own way without being mixed. So that's how the duality comes about. The colors are a little bit different than the scheme offered in Vargo as well. I will show you when I'm done flipping through all of them. Okay, and here is the back of the card, what it looks like. So, as far as the color comparison, the Vargo Gothic Tarot has sort of black and red on it, and the Alchemy Gothic black and golden, or gray and golden. The colors are a little softer. The Vargo Gothic has them a little darker. So again, the Alchemy Gothic is a different flavor than the Vargo Gothic one. And it is for those of you who are looking into darker decks, but this is not too dark either, so it's like in the middle of the dark spectrum. They're much darker than this. This is more like stylishly dark, just a little bit dark flavor without going too deep into the darkness, despite some of the images being demonic even, because they're more like, again, artistically represented than the ones that come alive to haunt you in the way that the Vargo deck could. So here's the deck itself, here's the box it came in, which features some of its best cards. And here's how the booklet looks. It's kind of thick, but most of its thickness is not really the explanations. It's all the other languages in which it's translated. So there are like maybe 4 or 5 of them. Instructions in Spanish and French and Dutch and Portuguese and English too, but again, so it's not as probably as thick as you would imagine just looking at it like that. The white here doesn't show quite as well because it reflects, but here's the lovely blackness of the Alchemy Gothic. So this has been a comparison of the 2 Gothic decks, and again I will provide you with a link to my tarot playlist and the Gothic deck that I reviewed by Joseph Vargo. But this has been Alchemy Gothic, or Alchemy of England, Tarot Flip Through, and I'm Gomez, and hope you enjoyed this review, and until next time, stay spooky.